No, I just spilled some olive oil. You brought in some olive oil, and of course, clumsy me, I spilled it all over my notes. And I've been trying to put it back into the cup. I'm not sure that that's the most sanitary thing to be doing. But why did you bring the olive oil?
Well, we were thinking of something that might be interesting to taste, and the next column I'm doing for the New York Times, which will come out next week, is about oils. And something that I learned in the course of doing that is that a lot of the oils that we assume are good stuff, olive oils in particular, turn out to be not so good.
Not so good in what way?
They're old and stale and rancid. And most consumers, it turns out, don't recognize that because that's all we know.
Well, Italians, the people like Lou DiPaolo, who sells olive oil, always says, once you open the bottle, use it right away.
Yes.
The problem is people sometimes let it sit in the pantry for a long time.
Yeah.
But you can't put it in your refrigerator.
No, you can put it in your fridge, but it turns out that doesn't help that much because for particular chemical reasons, it actually enhances the degeneration of the oil, the cold temperatures.
Is it only true of olive oils? What about some of the other safflower oil, grapeseed oil, canola oil?
It's true of all of them as well, I'm afraid. So the best thing you can do is buy in small quantities. Cover them up with, if they're in a clear bottle, with some aluminum foil to block the light because light causes damage. And then, as Lou says, use it quickly.
Mm-hmm. Well, so the reason for using one rather than the other is that olive oil gets hot very fast. And some others, the Chinese, for example, or Asians, usually prefer to cook with peanut oil because it takes a lot longer for it to reach a real high point. Butter and olive oil get hot very fast?
Well, actually, there's a difference between the rate at which things heat, and all oils and butter are pretty much the same. What's different is the temperature at which they begin to smoke. Mm-hmm. And again, it's much more important that the oil be fresh than it be one particular oil or another. Butter is the one counterexample to that. So butter will burn at a lower temperature than oils do. But if the oil is fresh, you can heat it to 450, 475. If it's not fresh, it'll start to smell at 350.
Now, what am I going to do with these 3 cups of olive oil that have been put in front of me?
Well, these are 3 oils from 3 different countries and 3 different styles, and I think 3 different prices, although I'm not sure about that since I didn't buy them. But I thought we could just taste them and compare the flavors and see whether they're all good or maybe one's not so good.
Well, they're numbered 1, 2, 3, so I know which one to start with.
And the first one is an Italian oil.
Has a little bit of a peppery aftertaste.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. The next one is a little blander. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have that peppery taste. Maybe we should have started off with the blander one.
Right, right. In fact, this first one made you cough. I just about coughed. And so olive oil enthusiasts will talk about 1 cough oils, 2 cough oils.
Really?
Yes. And it turns out the stuff that makes you cough is good for you. It's an anti-inflammatory that was discovered by a taste scientist who, when he had his first sip of really fresh olive oil, noticed that catching in the back of the throat and immediately recognized that it was exactly the same thing that happens when you have ibuprofen in your mouth.
Wow.
And he thought there must be something like that in olive oil, and he was right.
So the first one probably is better than the second one, or at least better for your health. It doesn't mean it's necessarily better for cooking.
That's right. And the second one is French, and it's a very different style, much milder and, as you say, blander, and I would say a little bit stale. But it's been harvested from older olives, more mature olives, and that's why the flavor is rounder and gentler.
And what is the third one? Probably Spanish or Greek?
The third is Spanish from Catalonia.
Somewhere in between the two.
Mm-hmm.
But not, well, a little bit of pepper.
3.
Well, that's just because we're using the Italian. Oh, no, it got very peppery as in its aftertaste.
Yeah. The pepperiness takes a while to develop, and it catches you in the back of the throat.
Well, olives never really ripen in the way that other fruit ripe. Do we call them fruit?
Yes, olives are fruits, and in fact, they do ripen exactly the same way that other fruits
But
do.
you can't just eat them. You always have to treat them.
That's right, and that's because they're protecting themselves. They don't want animals like us to eat them.
So if we have an olive oil, are we just getting the olive, or are we also getting the thing that they've been treated with, the lye or whatever they put it in?
Oh no, if you're pressing olive oil, then by law you can't do anything to the olives.
Oh, you just
So-
got to put and then the first pressing is the extra virgin?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And is that necessarily any better than the second pressing or the third pressing?
It generally is, yes. It's purer. It has more of the oil and nothing else. And the lye treatment is for table olives. It's for olives that you're going to eat.
Interestingly, the Italian was the cheapest. The French one was the most expensive.
Huh. Well, and I would put, I think, the Spanish oil at the top of my list and the French oil at the bottom.
Mm.
How about you?
Well, yeah,